Greetings all, hope you are all doing well. Today I figured to bring you a video on the dual web Tormentor. This is the usual Tormentor you'll probably see. Most usually run a scram instead of the dual webs. The reason why I like this fit more than the scram one is the scram one has a really big downside, and that's tracking. There's a lot of stuff that can get underneath your guns, especially if it's faster than you or itself is running dual webs. The inclusion of the second web in this fit basically alleviates most, like, if all, its weaknesses. It basically brings the already kind of top tier frigate into like so high, man. It's like so crazy how good this frigate is with dual webs. You can go toe to toe with some faction and stuff that'd give you a problem otherwise. And yeah, we can go for comets, we can go for Vigil fleets, we can go for I'd say, what's the word, Hookbills, but they're kind of rough. I haven't really had good success with those, but most faction frigates we can sort of deal with. And if we can, like, engage them like a rail comet, you want to run away from, because there's no beating it. But like a blaster comet you can deal with, and if it doesn't notice that you're dual web, you can kill it, but that's a big ask, especially if it's a large buffer. It's a lot of time to notice. But yeah, there's things that you sort of want to look out for in this frigate. It's like stuff that's faster than you and also running dual webs. I'd be kind of scared of the dual web Merlin warping into one. There's also like a Kestrel going around right now that's pretty insane with like dual web shield extender and does like about 220 DPS. That I'd be interested to like fight and see how that does. Breachers also can be a bit rough depending on how good a competent pilot is and whether they're using drugs. But other than that, most things we'll take out in this, like anything that's just AB web scram is going to have a very hard time against this, and especially active tanks. Buffer tanks will probably have a lot of time to notice that we're dual web and then warp off. You'll see that. But the active tanks, they get hit by like the 260 DPS and you're like, geez, what's happening? They're focusing more on their reps, and then yeah, by the time that's like happens, the fights are over. But yeah, I'm also rocking a 5% damage drug and a 3% implant. The 3% implant is pretty cheap. The 5% like damage drug is a bit more expensive side now. You can go for a 3% if you want. It shouldn't hit hard to fit too much, but if you have plenty of ISK, I recommend going for the 5%. Yeah, let's continue on the fights. Okay, this first fight is pretty neat. This is a fight against a breacher. There's not really much to say about this. I'm assuming it's going to be the dual rep one. It could be the light missile one, in which case you want to overheat your webs. I'm assuming that this breacher is going to be the dual rep missile one. So I'll keep it 7.5Ks to like sort of tracking is pretty decent. I start my reps very late in this fight, I've noticed, which is bad. But yeah, this is another fellow YouTuber, Lasker, who's like a really decent dude. And this fight is very interesting. Most breachers I haven't had a problem with. His breacher, on the other hand, like he's a very competent pilot. And you'll see the outcome of this fight is very fun for me. I don't think this has ever happened to me before, and it was sick regardless. Definitely a good fight against this pilot, and yeah, it was a draw, which was super cool. That's the first time it's happened to me. This is basically an example of how most fights are going to go down, especially against that AB web scram frigate, and something especially that squishes an Adron. But most AB web scram, like single ancillary fights, will go sort of like this. He does put up a good fight at the start, but since we are dual web, we pull range. We get his void or antimatter range, and we apply like completely fine. And he goes down very quickly, man. See if you see a dual web Tormentor, just warp out, especially if you're like AB web scram like this. And yeah, you should be fine. Okay, this isn't really a fight I recommend you to take. This is against an already Firetail. I have warriors out knowing that it's going to have an explosive hole. And that you want to start your reps really early because you're going to get like a lot of alpha damage. I start mine a little too soon, but it's fine. So yeah, basically I just need to pray in this fight, because if he gets like good wrecking hits, we're done. Thankfully he doesn't get any like good hit RNG, he's just like got plain hits. No wrecking hits, because a wrecking hit would have spelled a death for me. And you will see, like I get crazy fights as Tormentor, man. I love it because we're able to go against faction stuff like this. That's like 1% hull. I can't remember how much I had left, but it's very close. Okay, this is against a dual rep in Curses, and I'm a very confident pilot called Antivirus, live streamer, good dude. So I'm knowing I'm going up for a good fight here. I was curious to see how well I do. St. Garcis's, the dual rep one in particular, is very, very tanky, so I'm surprised how well my Tormentor did here. Although we're doing like a lot of DPS, we're also going shooting into his resists, so I was assuming it would be able to tank us. It does do a good job, but the occasional wrecking hit punches through it, and even with the Scram Fit, we'd have range control in this. That's why I don't like the dual rep in Curses, because it's, although it can take a while to work it down, you always have range control. You can either run or just like keep out their void or null range. So I keep at 7.5k here. We could have pulled out further and then be out of his null range, like 8k if I wanted, but I was like, nah, 7.5, I'm lazy. And we eventually do end up getting a break through him, which I was surprised about. And it was definitely a good GF against Andy. He was holding on for a while, but it just wasn't enough, man. Okay, I was searching for Hookbill to fight a long time. It's unfortunate I stumbled across Setonia. It's not particularly the kind of Hookbill I want to fight, but I was like, alright, sweet, this is going to be a fun fight. This is a good test. Yeah, I just need to pray. This is the Hookbill I wanted to fight, because I feel like the dual rep one would totally bugger me. And yeah, I start my reps way too late. I'm not expecting the incoming DPS like this. It's hitting hard, man. I wasn't expecting to hit this hard. And yeah, it's a kind of failed experiment. This is why I sort of like Hookbills are kind of, I don't think I can kill them, but yeah, I still figured I'd go for it. This is the fight against another beam Tormentor. His Tormentor has a Scram instead of dual webs, but that doesn't apply too much to this fight, and that we're both going to be keeping each other at range anyway to maximize our tracking of our beams. This fight really comes down to who gets better hit RNG and who started their reps better. And that's pretty much it. I believe we're both using warriors, and basically you just need to pray at this point. Hope that like you get a couple of wrecking hits in there, your reps are started fine, and yeah, there's not really much else you can do to influence this fight. And thankfully, we take it, but of course it was very close. It was like one volley difference there. This is a fight against a Neuting Tristan. Neuting Tristans are easy, man, for most things if they have like a range in their guns. We're just going to do your usual strat, keep at 7.5k, and then just like melt it down. The reason it's so easy is that the, what's it called? The optimal of a small T2 newts is 5k, and then the fall off is 2.5k. So even once we're at 7.5k, it's going to be doing very little if it's newts. And that way, like it'll be doing, most Neuting Tristans don't do that much DPS. So it's like a really easy fight. Even like the regular AB Web Scram Tormentor, you'd be able to kill a Newt Tristan. Newt Tristans are very not my thing, especially since you don't have range control. Okay, here we have a fight against two Dramiels, one after the other. This first Dramiel is something I'd be inclined to see more of, except he has a tracking disruptor, and then a small anti no low. So what I do is I keep it at 7.5k. This dude's probably expecting to get underneath my guns, expecting me being a single web, because he's tracking disrupting me, not optimal disrupting me. And that's the right call for him. But since we're doing web, his best call now would be to warp off. Because yeah, like the Tormentor does like a lot more DPS than the Dramiel usually, and we're at his like far fall off, so it's like a very bad shout for him. He still does like a good spot of damage to us, but yeah, regardless, we still take him down. Now this second Dramiel is a bit more interesting. It's like a weird arty fit. I'm surprised this guy didn't pull range for me, but this guy was like, rocking a really expensive fit. I don't know why it was so expensive, and it's a very weird artillery fit he was running. But yeah, this is an R. I'll just say it now. It's like an R kind of easy one. It's like a mad shield extender, and I think I had the AB and MWD. But the two Dramiels I'd be terrified. Well, not terrified. There's a dual small armor rep one I'd like to fight, but the dual web Dramiel should be able to beat my Tormentor easily. They'd be able to get underneath for guns, because it'd be so much more faster. But I was curious. I wanted to come across one of the dual rep ones to see if I could break it. Unfortunately, I could not, and I got those two Dramiels instead. This is a fight against a dual web AB Merlin, which is quite scary, man. If we were in a Plex at the start, we would start at range, and that way it would probably be a better fight for us. I still go for this. I make a mistake here. Now, I probably should have rocked Gleam. So yeah, like a lot of DPS, man. I keep at 7.5k, and I believe Helmy's rocking maybe a T2 AB and T2 webs. That way we can pull range as quickly as what I assume I was going to. But yeah, so that way maybe Gleam would have been better, and the tracking maybe would have helped us. But this fight's still like super close, man. I always get good fights out of Helmy, and yeah, big GF. Okay, this is a fight against two Vigils, one after the other. This first Vigil makes mistakes. The second, I make mistakes. This dude set his orbit too short, I believe. I think that's what he said. And yeah, he got punished very much for it. There's two things that you can do in this dual web Vigil. You either try and orbit close, but I feel like the safer play is orbiting out, like say like 13 or something, so they can't hit micro frequency, and then we're forced to use either like microwave or something to apply damage, and that way the Vigil be out DPSing us and win that way. I feel like that's a safer play, but yeah, unfortunately this pilot made a mistake and died that way. The second Vigil is still like very close, but I make a lot of mistakes with my drones here. I feel like it might be worth just like instead of keeping at 5k, just like approaching as they come into the plex. That will take them longer to like gain range, but I'm a little worried that it's set on orbit like 500 and then sort of get away from our guns. As he pulls range, I switch to microwave, and that's fine. That's a good thing. I need to, like, he killed one of my drones for some reason, so I need to watch more on those, and I eventually bring my drone back. And then that's kind of the mistake that I make, like a lot of mistakes with my drones. If I launch them quicker, I would have been able to get this kill. But this is still like a realistic fight, and it's making me like focus more on like my drones and stuff, and like basically it forced me to be a better pilot. There was also a third Vigil fleet that wanted to include in this against Grunt, who was in a shield one. I have no idea where the footage is, so yeah, I'm just saying that because I apologize, Grunt. I was going to include that, but yeah. Alright guys, that's the fights I had for you today. I hope you can see why I like this Tormentor so well. I feel kind of dirty flying it, man. I don't feel so bad when I'm fighting faction frigates, but against anything T1, it feels kind of scummy running something like this. Not going to stop me from flying it, because it's fun, and I like to win, but I try hard that way. But yeah, regardless of that, like I hope you guys enjoyed the fights, and yeah, have a great rest of your day, evening, regional equivalent, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys.